Hi, lovely students. At the moment, it's raining here at school, so I'm sorry if you can hear all of the rain in the background. But here's our BTN activities. We're looking at episode 10, the Endeavour anniversary. So the Endeavour was the boat that Captain Cook captained on the way to be the first British people to find Australia and decide to live there. So one thing you might need to do is you might need to click this link to open it. I don't believe that this is working. So it'll pop open this and you can watch the episodes. It goes to 24 minutes, 30 seconds. Just like a normal BTN lesson, it'd be great for you to have your writing book out and to write some notes. Then we're on to the activity. So once you've finished watching the episode, what I'd love you to do is we're going to be writing a journal. So a journal is just like a dear diary, yeah? So you're going to write a diary. I want you to pretend that you are a crew member on board the Endeavour, yeah? So you might pretend that you're Captain Cook, or you might pretend that you're a cook, if you want to keep with the cook theme. Or maybe you're someone who works on the masts, or maybe you're someone who cleans the deck, so you're someone who is on board. Make sure it's someone who would have realistically been there. So if you're not sure if a doctor would have been there, maybe see if you can research that first. So we're going to write a journal describing your first week on board the ship. I don't mind if you actually even choose to not do the first week. If you find something in the archives, it just means like the keeping of Captain Cook or other people's journals over the many years. If you can find a day that looked really interesting, you want to write about that from someone's perspective, then go for it. But just make sure it's made up from a new perspective. Yeah, so you're using real facts, but maybe just writing it in your own way as your own made up person. So one thing you can do is, here's some Captain Cook's journals. So as an example, if I click on this second link, it pops up with this website. So Cook's Endeavour journal. So that's really helpful. So as an example, I just quickly flicked through one. I was like, I don't really want to know his trip to Brazil. I want to get to the part where he's in Australia. I think that would be really interesting. So I clicked on the 11th to the 16th of June. It's January to December 1770. And then I just scrolled down and just found a title I thought was interesting. So I just thought, Endeavour strikes the reef. That sounds interesting. So I clicked on that, and then it loaded up. So as an example, I just click on this one. So it popped up, and then I just quickly read it. A lot of it doesn't quite make sense to me because we write in a different way in 2020, but I got the gist of it. Yeah, there's some words I didn't understand, but I sort of understood what was happening. I just sort of skim read it, and I saw that there was something that I thought was interesting. So I saw that it was the northernmost island of the mainland, and as something about Keppel Bay. So I just quickly Googled what Keppel Bay was and where the Cape of Capricorn is, and I found out that that's just northern Queensland. And then in the next journal entry was all about then they had a bit of almost a shipwreck. So I thought, that sounds really interesting. I might write my journal about that. So here's some questions that will help you write yours. So you want to think of, who is the character you're pretending to be? You want to explain why you are on board the Endeavour. What's your role? What do you do? Describe what you can see, what you can eat, what you can smell, how you feel, what you can hear. What are some challenges you have? What are some of the things you need to do every day? And maybe what's exciting. So here's a quick example I just quickly typed up. So I've just made up a random name, John Humphreys. I decided not to do it on the first week. I just decided to pick this date because it sounded interesting to me. So I wrote 11th of June, 1770. John Humphreys. Monday the 11th. Today was not a good day. First, I woke up with an extremely bad headache. It must have been the salty meat that they have been feeding us. They tell us that they put the crazy amount of salt on it so that the meat doesn't go off, but I'm not sure if that's true anymore. I'm pretty sure the beef went off weeks ago, and they just tell us to make us feel. They just tell us that to make us feel better. Yet again today, so I'm just sort of embellishing, which just means I'm exaggerating a bit. I'm putting in some stuff that I can't prove that that's what actually happened. But some things I put in was we've been eating salty meat, which is a true thing, and they do put lots of salt on meat to keep it from going off, because back then there was no electricity. You couldn't just turn the fridge on and put meat in. So to keep the meat from going off, they had to just absolutely drench it in salt. So it would have been disgusting. So yeah, him thinking that they're lying, that bit's made up. Yeah, that was just because I was bored and wanted to make it more interesting. And then, I'll go on and talk about how I was on the deck cleaning. So, that's me explaining my role. I didn't have to say I was a deckhand. I did that by just letting my reader infer that by saying, yet again today I was cleaning the floorboards. So my reader would understand I'm probably a deckhand, right? And I say that I've been there for 857 days, but now it wasn't just any kind of day. And then I mentioned that we hit a reef. So then I'm going to go on to more information about that and try and explain, how that was dangerous and how, this is a really dangerous job. Why'd I sign up for this? But you know what? It is exciting because I hear that Captain Cook's saying we're going to land soon, and I might talk about that. So I'm writing it all fictionally, but using non-fiction content. Yeah, so I'm making up a story, but using real stuff in it about just find stuff I find on the journal, stuff I find on Google about real things that would have happened. If you finish and there's a bit of time left on your clock, because remember you want to set about an hour to do each activity, you can do the early finish activity, which is you click on this and play the voyage game. So it looks like this, and you can play it, and it just sort of is a fun way to see how convicts were transported from Van Diemen's Land, which is Australia, and England. So, yep, that is your activity today. All the best.